Derek Sloan here, Member of Parliament for Hastings, Lennox and Addington. I'm here in Calgary with Artur Pawlowski, and he is a pastor here in Calgary that has risen to international fame lately because of a viral video clip that has been going around the internet where he basically casts out a group of police officers and Alberta health officials that came into his church without a warrant, and he told them to leave and referred to them as Nazis and communists and other terms. And they promptly left, and he's become an internet sensation. Artur, tell us a little bit more about yourself and your ministry and what led up to this incident, and what gave you the boldness to deal with the police in that way. That's unusual for anybody, particularly a pastor. So give us some background.
Well, I grew up in Poland under communist dictatorship, under the boots of the Soviets. I grew up behind the Iron Curtain, and I witnessed with my own eyes the abuse of power. I witnessed police officers beating, torturing people, arresting for no reason. There was this famous saying by the police officers, "Give me a man and we'll find something on that man." So it could be taken 5 a.m. during the night hour. Wife would not know what happened to you. You would be really kidnapped, taken, beaten, tortured. And then you go to court, so you think now court is going to vindicate me. I have done nothing right, nothing wrong, and the courts were corrupted. No one followed Constitution. Come to Canada, and we guarantee you this is a nation that will never persecute you for your faith. So here we are today, being hunted down by authorities, by corrupted politicians, by corrupted law enforcement, and I'm shocked. I was shocked at the beginning how it unfolded to the video you were referring. I have been subjected to the corruption for 30 months. Since the beginning of this COVID hysteria, police officers started to show up. I feed thousands of people on the streets of Calgary. It's called street church. And I feed the people that no one else wants to feed. I feed people that are living under the bridges, in bushes. I feed those that are barred from the shelters. They come to me for necessities of life. And I give them those necessities of life. And police shows up and says, "That's it, show is over, you're not allowed to do this anymore because there is pandemic." The mayor of the city doesn't care. He has his own brown shirts, I call them of Adolf Hitler, yes, or Adolf Nenshi, yeah, and he sends those goons to hunt me down. Since then, I was the first clergyman to get the COVID ticket, I call them, yes, $1,200, surrounded by 12 officers. My parishioners were pushed physically, and I was threatened with $1 million ticket. Then they started to come more often. I got 28 tickets. So then I was threatened with $1 million, believe it or not. And the authorities started to just show up, intimidating my
So how could they give you $1 million ticket? I've never heard of that.
And that's an interesting thing. They're making this stuff up. I had a meeting with the chief of police, and I said, is this insanity going to stop or not? You're threatening me with tickets. Your officers are threatening me with $1 million tickets. I mean, why not $1 billion? Then at least I will be a first man on the planet Earth that got $1 billion ticket. Mm-hmm. You're making stuff up, I said. Mm-hmm. You're inventing things. Mm-hmm. And first of all, those restrictions are not lawful. Back off. You are to serve and protect me. I pay you. The taxpayers pay you, mm-hmm, to do a work for me. But it is what it is. They were intimidating me for months. I had always officers. I had officers in my house during the night hours knocking, giving me a bylaw infraction ticket. Police officers doing their job for the bylaw officers. I had detectives coming to my house. Detectives.
And what were they telling you?
Oh, they just came to deliver a bylaw ticket, $100 ticket.
And when would they come?
Different hours,
okay,
with different police vehicles, uniformed officers, sometimes bylaws, sometimes bylaw with the police. The latest was 2 detectives in their plain clothes with a detective badge, mm-hmm, and 2 armed officers delivering me a ticket for not wearing a mask in the mall. So it's a pure intimidation tactics. Mm-hmm. But you got to remember, I'm a Polish guy. I grew up being intimidated. Mm-hmm. And the only way I know how to fight the bullies, you got to be stronger than the bully. Mm-hmm. So that was on the streets, me feeding the poor. Then the government decides that they're canceling Christmas. I'm sure you're aware of that. The Christmas is canceled. And I said publicly, you know what, you cancel yourself, or we are canceling you. We're not canceling Christmas. So I invited everyone to come and have the biggest Christmas party in this country, which lots of people showed up. We had Christmas carols, we fed hundreds of people. And 100 police officers showed up and 52 police cars. It was a gong show. I mean, it was insane.
And did they do anything? Did they give tickets? Did they arrest
They
people?
gave tickets to some people.
Okay.
They were attempting to give tickets to our guests, but
And this was where, in your church, or where
that
was
was
this?
in a public place at City Hall,
Okay.
the plaza, which is our irony called the Freedom of Speech Plaza. Okay.
Is it really?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I mean, it's insane.
How fitting. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So I'm just giving you a history, right, to what led to that video. And then suddenly they started to show up in my second location, which is a building. And we were kind of keeping it under the radar. We didn't want to have any
And
splash.
this is your church?
That's the church.
Yes, yes.
That's where I pastor, and that's where we come together to worship in peace. And they started to block our parking lot. Believe it or not, the authorities came, blocked our parking lot. We had to fight with them, verbally, to finally get them out of our property so the people can drive in. And they always wanted to come inside. And I always told them, you're not welcome in this capacity. You're not welcome to come in. This is a sanctuary. This is a holy place for my people. You're not allowed to do this. It's actually a criminal offense to do this. No. They came a few times.
And they wanted to come into what? No, this is police, health officers, both?
Everyone.
And what do
Peace
they want to
officers,
do?
bylaw
Yeah.
officers, police officers.
They want to see if you have too many people in the church or something.
Probably. They wanted to see if I'm preaching with a mask on because, of course, it's mandatory indoors. And
Is it mandatory to preach with a mask on in Alberta?
the Alberta government made that indoor masks are mandatory. So
Okay.
we're not allowed to sing. It's the law. You cannot
Really?
sing in the church.
Wow.
You cannot have Holy Communion in the church. You cannot...
Because that would involve eating? Is that the...
Yes.
And drinking? And that's...
But you see,
not
you can
allowed.
eat in a restaurant and in a plane, but you cannot have communion in the church.
You don't get COVID in restaurants, just
No.
churches.
Because the COVID is a very smart dude. He knows where to attack and
magical.
to whom he wants to attack. So anyway, that's what was going on for a while. So this whole thing was building up. And then they showed up at our church about a month ago outside taking pictures of our children, women, elderly, as they were walking into the church.
Yes.
And the police officers were assisting them. Oh, that made me very upset.
They were assisting them in what way? They were helping the elderly enter the church?
They were, yeah, you wish. That's police officers from, last century.
Yeah.
Those ones are assisting the villains. They're not helping the victims anymore. I mean, it's a different mandate. I have been preparing for months. The church was fasting. I have been preparing sermons for such a time as this. And then suddenly, our worshipers are starting to prepare. The prayer warriors, the prayer people are starting to pray. And I look, and I was like, I couldn't believe it, First, I could not register. When you're shocked,
Yeah.
you're kind of like, do I see right? I see armed officers and some other people in uniform inside the church where I told them they're not allowed to come. They're trespassing. How dare they? So I grabbed my telephone from the pulpit and I said, this is going to end very bad for them or for me because I'm going to chase them out. So you can tell in the video, I'm shaken. I'm literally shaken. Mm-hmm. My hand is shaking, and the only thing I could say, because I was preparing a sermon, let my people go, from the story of Exodus and Moses and Aaron. So that was so deep in my heart, let my people go, and the only thing I could say is like, please get out. And they would not move. And I'm just like, this is crazy. And I said, get out, get out. A friend of mine, Ezra Levant, he counted how many times from Rebel News, the best news outlet in the country, the truthful news that tells you the other story, not like the mainstream propaganda liars. So he counted, I think, 30 times I had to tell those authorities to get out.
Now, what were they trying to tell you? In the video, it's hard to see because you're saying, out, get out. What was it they were trying to tell you? The lady was trying to tell you something. Do you know what that was?
I'll tell you, Derek, I don't care.
Okay.
I absolutely don't care what she wanted to say.
So you don't know?
I can assume by the previous conversations I had with them that probably they were there to make sure I'm wearing a mask and I'm social distancing. Mm-hmm. I think that's what they came to do. However, they came to enforce a bylaw. Yeah. They came to enforce a restriction. But at the same time, they broke two criminal laws. One law interfering with the clergyman while he's conducting his official capacity as a
Yes.
clergyman, 2 years mandatory, and interfering with the church gathering, 5 years criminal offense. I mean, this is a serious stuff.
Yeah.
They came with their uniforms, the badges, and the gun inside the sanctuary, inside our holy place, trying to enforce a bylaw that is $100 infraction, and they broke a law, criminal law, that is punishable 5 years. Even during the Middle Ages, knights were commanded to leave their swords outside. They could not enter the temple, or they could not enter the mosque, they could not enter cathedral. They had to leave their swords outside. And how dare they come with their guns and their tasers and their handcuffs to the sanctuary where people, historically speaking, were finding their sanctuary. That's
Right,
what it is.
right.
One lady was shocked. For 3 hours, she was still shaken.
Now, you mentioned to them, come back when you have a warrant. Is that the appropriate legal way to enforce a bylaw? What's the appropriate way to enforce a bylaw in the context of a church situation and the criminal code provisions that you've mentioned? What's the appropriate way to do that?
Well, here's what I told them, and I work with the police officers.
And it seems like they believed you because they left.
Because
And they had you beat on manpower and firepower and all this, but it seems that your pronouncement of the law they viewed to be correct, it would seem.
Because I know the law. And they were breaking, clearly they were breaking the law, like so many people are breaking the law right now. What they're doing to pastor codes, that's breaking the law. And I mean, this is insane. It's private property, it's interfering with the religious service, interfering with the capacity of a pastor to conduct a religious service. They're breaking the law in front of our eyes, and it looks like, and I hope that you will be the champion that will stand up for the little people like us. We are looking to you, Derek. Will you defend us? Will you defend our rights to exist? Because what is looking right now is that those politicians are destroying us. It looks like we are under attack, like during the times of fascism and during the time of communism. That's why I call them the way I call them, because that's exactly what the communists and the fascists were doing. I kicked them out. I told them that they have to come back with a warrant. I knew that they cannot get a warrant because they cannot get a warrant for a stupid bylaw infraction. They knew the law, and they've chosen to break the law willfully. And that's the problem I have with those law enforcement agencies. They know they're breaking the law. I educated them. I've told them before, do not break the law. You see, you cannot have an officer that says, I am here to uphold the law, enforce the law, but at the same time, I'm going to break 10 other laws.
What's next for you?
Well, I will be in a church, preaching the gospel. That's what I do, and that's what I want to do. I want to feed the poor, take care of the widows and the orphans. I'm not running for a political office. I will pray for you. Mm-hmm. I will pray for the people that are willing to stand up for us in the political office. And I'm encouraging others to run for political office. We have 10 candidates that are running right now in this upcoming election in the city of Calgary, in our church. Mayoral position and the position of councilman. So I'm supporting them, I'm praying for them, I'm encouraging them. That's my role as a pastor, as a clergyman. I'm a shepherd of God's people. And I fend off the wolves. That's what I do. That's why you have the staff. You know, I'm a hunter also. I love the outdoors, I love the mountains. And I have been surrounded by the packs of wolves. And the wolves are very peculiar animals. You have to be very careful, and you have to fend them off, or they will eat you alive. Right now, we have lots of wolves in the political arena. And my job, and let me suggest something to you, your job, if you want to be our champion, is to fend those wolves off. Protect us. We need someone to stand for us, someone to protect us, someone that will be our voice, because right now you have a generation, you have millions of people without voice. We are being deplatformed from YouTube, from Facebook. We have no voice. We cannot articulate what's in our hearts. You know what the people told me? Because we want to talk about the American audience, right? 90% of people called me from United States of America. Lawyers, New York Jews, fancy people. I even had phone calls from Navy SEALs, Marine Corps. I had a phone call from a chief of police, high-ranking police officers in the United States, and they're all saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. What you said is what's in our hearts. You articulated how we feel. Get out, you Nazis. Get out, you fascists. Get out of my beloved country. This is my country. And this is the country of my children and my grandchildren. Get out, you communists. You're not welcome.
Well, what I thought when I saw that video, and we've mentioned some biblical parallels and so on, but was the scene in the New Testament where Christ is cleansing the temple and saying similar words to you, and I thought that was an interesting parallel, and I think what you did needed to be done, and of course, we don't agree with these restrictions and all this type of thing, but at least have the decency. If they have to give you a ticket, have the decency to wait outside. Do they have to barge in the middle of an Easter service? Of course not. And as you've said, it was breaking 2 criminal code prohibitions, two federal crimes that ought to result in jail time. It's a shame. And
It is.
thank you for doing what you've done. And God bless you for your courage. And there may be people in Canada who might respond differently, but I hope that in every person's own way, they would find something that they're willing to stand up for and something that they're willing to be courageous for. Because as you said, without individual people standing up and fighting for the rights that make Canada the place that it is, our country will fall and perish. It's not about charters or constitutions, it's about people, vigilant people who are standing up, and with people working together, there's nothing that cannot be accomplished. So thank you so much for meeting with me today, and I look forward to many conversations in the future.
Thank you
so
very much. God bless you, sir.
God bless you.